Good morning and welcome to Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion with me, Pastor Amanda. We are continue in Second Corinthians and we are looking at chapter 8. So, for the last few chapters, Paul has really been trying to find a way to encourage the Corinthian church to join into ministry with him, reconnect to everything that they are meant to be, and all of that. And now he moves into here's an opportunity for you to kind of get back in the game, so to speak. And I love the way Paul approaches this. So he begins this chapter by saying, I want to remind you of a church in Macedonia who is doing great things. Now, I think in today's culture, we would automatically think, oh, he's pitting these two churches against each other. He's putting them into competition, because what he says is that Macedonia has experienced a lot of troubles, and they are a very poor church compared to the Corinthian, which is a rich church, as we have seen by their actions. But what he says is that because of the joy they have, that their generosity has poured out of them. And so you would think that, knowing what the churches are, you would think he's pitting them against each other. But what he's really calling upon is this sense of mentorship, or modeling of what this congregation should be like. And I think this is really important because a lot of times we think mentorship is between two people, and that one person has all the answers and one person learns it and everything. But that's not really what a mentorship is. First of all, a mentorship is a two-way street in which there's give and take. Both sides learn, both sides give. It's a really beautiful relationship. But it can also be done between churches. Churches need to look at each other. What's going well there that maybe we could also do? What's not going well? What do we need to correct? What do we need to do better? How are we setting a good example? And so even churches as a whole can take on this modeling. And so that's what Paul is doing here. He's asking the Corinthian church to model this generosity that's coming out of Macedonia. And in a minute, he'll refer back to it. But we'll keep moving forward at the moment. And he says that they did it of their free will, and that this was not something they were forced to do. It must be done eagerly and of one's own joy of their heart. And what Paul says is they even went above and beyond what he had even hoped for. So what happens here now is Paul kind of shifts just for a moment to let them know that he's sending someone on his behalf, and he's sending Titus, who has also been very encouraging of how do you say it, of their giving. So Titus has also been part of their ministry of giving. And so he acknowledges that they've done all this work. Now, what Paul also goes into saying is, like, you all were the most eager to start this giving opportunity, because they're not just giving randomly or just to anything, but what they are doing is they are giving to Jerusalem. They are giving to a mission community out there, and he's hoping that through their giving they'll kind of reconnect to who they are and what they started for. Their enthusiasm would come back because they're in this ministry together. And he also talks about how he's aware, don't give to the point to where you're poor. That's not the point. He says it's about sharing what we have so that we're all kind of in this together. He's like, I don't want you to suffer because of your giving, but we know that they are suffering right now and that we're fine. And so our giving can help them. And then should a time of suffering come to this congregation, that congregation will respond with giving. So there's this trust that the churches are going to work together. They're not going to abandon each other. They're not going to lose the struggle, so to speak, along the way. And so, Paul was just like, you started this ministry, and you were so eager, but now you've kind of slowed down. And I have to admit, this sounds like just like any old capital campaign. You kind of work the congregation up. Everybody gets really excited about the new project that's going to happen. And if it takes longer than a year to raise the money, so often it's kind of like, okay, we're ready for something else. We're ready to see it happen. And so Paul is struggling with this sense of where the enthusiasm for the project has kind of gone down, but he's like, you can get into this. You can do it again. This is your encouragement. I'm going to cheer you on. Look what other churches are doing. And so he's like, this is your way of kind of showing me. That's what he's saying. This is your way of showing me that you aren't holding a grudge against me. This is the way you're showing me that all is well with us and that you really are passionate for Christ as you say you are. So then Paul continues on to talk about he's sending more companions besides just Titus to help him, and they have a lot of enthusiasm for God and for getting to see the Corinthian church. So he's kind of making them feel good. He's patting them on the back and saying good job, good work. It kind of helps them along. And then we're sending them, he says, for this occasion, and that you will partner with them and bring honor to Christ and show your love. And now this is where he does kind of put competition in there, but he puts it differently. He just says, prove yourselves to all these churches that are boasting about you is justified. So Paul is definitely putting a little bit of you should do it. But at the same time, if this is something they were already doing, what's gone on? And we know there's been struggles and everything. And so Paul's just really inviting them to get back into the ministry that they had let go of, that had kind of gone down the tubes. And so I think if we look back at most of our churches or ministry settings, there's ministries that come and go, and there were some that were maybe worthwhile, and there were some that needed to be let go of. And for Paul, he's like, this is one you needed to hold on to. You need to keep trying. And so maybe think about what is something that would have been really good for your congregation? What ministry needs to come back or to be reinvigorated within your congregation, within your community? What do you need to get into again to just reinvigorate your connection with God, with the work that God's calling you to? And so thanks for joining me, Pastor Amanda, with Hope, Faith, and Joy Daily Devotion, and I look forward to seeing you next week as we continue in 2 Corinthians. Have a beautiful weekend.